Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. This is a bit of in case you missed it video discussing all the news you might have missed in the month of May before we head in to the busy season of the draft, free agency, and everything. The unveiling of uniforms at the draft. Hopefully that's usually what they do for new teams. So let's get into it. Friday night, a bit under the radar while the NHL playoffs are still going on. A bit of a leak. I don't know if it's official or not, but it looks pretty good and doesn't seem to be made up by just some random fan. A leak of what may be the placeholder logo for the Utah hockey team was leaked or was found out. Someone dug through the internet. Here it is. There's two versions of it. One with a white ring and one with a black ring. Maybe they wear, each one for whether it's home or away. Where they found this logo, a lot of people reposted it, and it seems like no one remembers or can figure out where it all originated. I think it came from an analytics website that the league officially uses. It's behind a paywall, so it's like, professional analytics website, and they had this logo next to some Utah players. I think it looks nice. I think I like it. It's unoffensive. I don't see how someone could hate it. I don't even like the color blue, and I think it's fine. I really like how the font is in a straight line and flat. The U is on a sort of angle. It's sort of on a curvature, and I like how the H has a little angle in the middle of it. It's not a straight line. Hopefully it is real, and hopefully, I could print it out and make some stickers on it and get some color back into these videos and back onto the whiteboard. And also, Ryan Smith called into some podcast and maybe leaked the two finalists of the names for the Utah team. They said there will be 4 finalists of names for the next round of voting, but apparently he leaked that Yeti and Mammoth, 2 names which are high on my tier list, so I'm happy with that, are 2 of the 4 finalists for the team nickname. Some people really don't like Yeti. I think it's perfect. I think it fits well, and I would love it if it was a Utah Yeti. People who are concerned about the Avalanche, I think that's pretty much a nothing burger. They rarely use that connotation of Yeti with the Avalanche. They even changed their mascot from a Yeti. Now it's like a dog. So I don't think there's too much concern in the NHL over the Avalanche. Next, we go into some hockey signings. June 1st, late in the evening, or not late in the evening, at the start of the evening, was the deadline for re-signing players that you've drafted in 2022 in the Canadian Hockey League. And there were 3 players that Utah had that they could sign before the deadline. 2 of them I never really paid attention to. They were never going to be re-signed, and no one ever really talked about them, so I didn't want to waste mental energy on those players. But Langa, I was so high on him. I liked him. I thought for sure he'd be a great defenseman for Utah. He was signed by the Coyotes in 2022 in the 3rd round. He is 6'1", 185 pounds. He had 62 points in 61 games played this past season in the Quebec League. Last year, when he was part of the Quebec Ramparts, he had 33 points in 34 games played. So when I saw a point per game defenseman, I thought, here we go, a great offensive defenseman, bring him into Tucson and see what happens. But apparently not. They didn't want to sign him. The full reason was reported by Craig Morgan. He put it in the Discord that's behind a paywall, so thankfully I got it. I'm still part of that Discord. We'll see how much longer I am. I'll put the screenshot here, but I'll just read it from my phone as well. Here's a deal with Langa, the defenseman. There were concerns about whether his offensive game was actually good enough for him to be an offensive defenseman in the NHL. The Quebec Junior League, I think I said it in a previous video, and I coupled them with the Ontario Hockey League and the WHL Hockey League, but specifically the QMHL, JHL is a very high offensive league. A lot of players have very high inflated numbers in the Quebec League, and it doesn't really translate well to the AHL or to the NHL, so that's the little caveat there. And whether his defensive game could even survive in the NHL, Basically, they weren't certain he had enough of an NHL identity. Given all their other deep prospect options, the likelihood of them focusing on rebuilding the blue line this summer, and the need to sign a bunch of prospects to contracts over the next few years, they have to be careful who got entry-level contracts because you have a contract limit of about 50 contracts, which includes entry-level contracts that you sign and they play in the minors. Also, he had a major knee surgery that I had no idea about. That said, there are organizations who do not have his skill set. I suspect he will find a home and have the chance to develop in the AHL with another team somewhere else. So that's a bit unfortunate. Even though just looking at his stat sheets, I thought he was good. I watched him in the rookie tournaments as well. He played 2 rookie tournaments for the Coyotes, and I thought he was great. So that just goes to show you can't just read stats and say, hey, this player is going to be a great prospect. So unfortunate to see Langlois go. He still has a chance to sign an amateur contract and only play in Tucson. That's still an option. But to me, that reads that, Utah's going to get another defenseman at 6 overall, and they'll have all these defensemen they want to sign and play in Tucson. Not so much this upcoming season, but moving forward, Lamoureux, Kipke, Simashev, Duda, and the 6th overall pick coming up at the end of June. That's 5 defensemen. There's not enough room on Tucson, and you want to be hands-on and mold these defensive prospects the right way. If you have too many guys, maybe they saw Langlois and said he's going to be too much work, and we don't even want to bother with that. So unfortunate the end for Langlois, but some positive signings. They signed Julian Lutz and Noel Nord. Noel Nord was a first ever player to sign with Utah, so he deserves that little caveat and moniker on his resume. Julian Lutz, he bounced around throughout Germany. He had really bad numbers in Germany. I was very underwhelmed with Lutz because he was a second-round pick, and usually second-round picks should be good prospects in your pipeline. Lutz is 6'2", 194 pounds, drafted in 2022. He had 11 points in 38 games played in the Dell League in Germany before moving to the United States Hockey League this past season, where he really came to his own and had an offensive and just a great performing season. He had 68 points in 50 games played with Green Bay in Wisconsin. So good on Lutz for performing well in that league. He could have very easily not performed well and not earned himself a contract. Lutz is a forward along with Nord. So we'll see Lutz in Tucson this upcoming season. And Noel Nord, 3rd round pick in 2023, 6'2", 198 pounds. He had 15 points in 50 games played in the 2nd tier league in Sweden. The top tier league is the SHL, and his team won the championship in that 2nd tier league. So I believe that makes them promoted to the SHL, but we'll see Nord in Tucson as a forward this upcoming season. Speaking of Tucson, there was a bunch of rumors and talk about where's Tucson going to play. Alex Morelos said in that exit interview press conference that he wants to move the Roadrunners full-time to Mullet Arena. He said that as fact without even talking to anybody. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with him a lot anymore. So what happened is the Roadrunners will be playing 30 games in their current home in Tucson Arena, and then only play 6 games at Mullet Arena. There's reports that Utah had a bit of a say and weighed in on this decision, and some fans or previous Coyotes fans were like, why is Utah caring about this? Utah is paying for all Tucson Roadrunner players and coaches' salaries. Mullet Arena is not down the street from Tucson Arena. It's about a 2-hour drive. So do you really want your assets to be driving 2 hours on a bus on game day? Where are they going to stay? Are they going to stay in hotels? You only get 36 home games a year in the American Hockey League, and you want your assets to be comfortable and live at their home, wherever their home is. You don't want them on the road while they're literally at home in Arizona. You want them to play as little games and make them uncomfortable as little as humanly possible. Like, you don't want them driving 2 hours on a bus, staying in a hotel away from their family, girlfriends, whatever they have in the American Hockey League in Tucson. You want them at home. When they come home from a long road trip, you don't want them thinking about, having to stay in a hotel in Tempe or Phoenix to play games at Mullet. So you want your assets to be comfortable, to be happy, which is why Utah has a way in these sort of decisions. Next, we go to the World Championships. Congratulations to Czechia, who won gold. Some great celebration pictures and videos there. They love their beer. I love Czech lagers as well. Team Canada had a bunch of Utah players and coaches. They had Dylan Gunther, Jack McBain, and Andre Tourney coached the Team Canada team. They lost in the quarterfinals, a bit of an upset to Switzerland. And then in the bronze medal game, they lost to Sweden. So Canada, they didn't medal. Gunther only had 4 points in 9 games played, which included 1 goal. And McBain only 2 assists in 10 games played. So a bit of an underwhelming performance by both of those players. Michael Kesselring, who's a restricted free agent for Utah, he had 2 goals, 3 points in 7 games played with Team USA. Kelemen for Slovakia, he plays for the Tucson Roadrunners. He had 5 points in 8 games played. That's pretty good for a sort of American Hockey League sort of veteran now. I doubt he'll really be a mainstay on the Utah team. And Vejmelka was the goaltender, backup goaltender for Utah, was on Team Czechia, but he was a third-string goalie, and he didn't play any games, but still gets that gold medal and gets to be part of the festivities and the celebrations. Their starting goalie was Dostal, and their backup was Peter Mrazek. I think Mrazek and Vejmelka are pretty much equal, but Mrazek is the older, more NHL veteran than Vejmelka. Next, we go to the Masterton Trophy, which was won by Connor Ingram when he was with the Coyotes. So, I mean, the Coyotes have never won a major trophy award since I've been a fan. This award was given to the player that best exemplifies qualities of perseverance. Connor Ingram, during his time in Nashville, and also currently he deals with it daily, OCD symptoms, some mental health issues related to OCD as well. There was a time in Nashville where he was going to step away from the game. He nearly retired at such a young age, but he went to the NHL assistance program. He was very open with his mental health, talked to a lot of people, and got his game back turned around. Arizona picked him up on waivers from Nashville, gave him an opportunity, and he's ran with it. And he is now the starting goaltender for Utah. So a great story and well-deserved win of this trophy for Ingram. Finally, we get to another under-the-radar move here. Utah hired an alternate governor, sort of president of hockey operations person. It's not I don't even know it's official yet. There was about a rumor, an article written a couple weeks ago, but no one's talking about it since. In that article, they mentioned how May 31st was his last day with the Wasserman company, a company that he built in Canada. So maybe we're around the corner, or maybe it's even happened when I post this video, that he's officially announced as sort of the middleman between general manager Bill Armstrong and Ryan Smith. Chris Armstrong has no relation to Bill Armstrong, even though they share the same popular last name. Bill Armstrong will report to Chris Armstrong instead of Ryan Smith. He had no middleman before in Arizona. He would have to talk directly to Alex Morello. You don't want the owner to be too hands-on with the team, so I like how now there's a middleman. Bill Armstrong could just talk to this guy, and this Chris Armstrong guy will know what to do, because Ryan Smith told him, hey, this is how much I want to spend this season. This is our income, our expenses. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to see the team go in 2 or 3 years. And so Chris Armstrong could be more readily available to talk to Bill Armstrong. Chris Armstrong was a professional golfer agent. He also heavily advised Ryan Smith throughout the acquisition of the Arizona Coyotes. So him and Ryan Smith were in touch during this whole deal or sale of Coyotes to Utah. And he also represented Kyle Dubas in 2023 when they were in negotiations with the Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins. He also, like I mentioned, built up the Wasserman business in Canada that also represents some NHL players. So it's a bit of an agency business. And Chris Armstrong himself was an agent for professional golfers. And like I said, a general manager in Kyle Dubas. So I think that should be it for now. You're all up to date. Now I'm up to date. I did spend a lot of time in those free agent videos and that draft video. We'll see from here what sort of videos I do until the draft. Maybe I might do a mock draft, but to be honest, I have no idea about any of these draft picks past, number 10. So like from 10 to 30, it just might be throwing darts on a dartboard, but it could be fun, might be fun. I've never done it. Maybe I could give it a try. And hopefully there's some news and some confirmation on logos, names. We can make some videos on that as well. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.